Hey there, welcome to another episode of Fans of Motion, the Ultimate Night Ranger podcast. I don't know what the we were thinking. That might be a record too to have the F word within like the first 5 seconds. A record that should have been broken a long time ago. But joining me and Dave, the Florida man, is another Dave and another Florida man, which kind of it makes my job a little bit more complicated. Everybody out there, welcome Mr. Dave Glazer from Fans in Motion fame. He's everybody knows him from the page. Every now and then he'll post a video of him playing the guitar, or him at the beach shirtless, running along there like Apollo Creed and fucking Rocky with Nadelman out there and all the good stuff. So Dave, how you doing, brother?
Gosh, I'm great, man. I'm actually a little bit starstruck, being here with Super
Nadelman.
Dave and
Yeah.
yeah, Super Dave, and then of course the Godfather himself. So
Well,
yeah,
you should see the lady folk when I'm out in public with Nadelman.
I completely believe that.
It's like I've never experienced, the whole Beatles thing back in the 60s, but I equate it to that. But Dave, give us a little history, man. How'd you get into that band that we like to talk about called Night Ranger?
Yeah, so all the way back at the beginning, all the way back to Dawn Patrol. I remember what was that thing where you could get 10 albums for 3 cents, and then you had to buy three more over the next couple of
Columbia
years.
House Record Club.
Columbia, yeah. Dawn Patrol was in that first batch for me, along with I think Standing Hampton by Sammy Hagar and Aldo Novo's album, and just Dawn Patrol just did it for me, got me started, and really actually got me started playing guitar too, and that was it from there. These were my guys from there on. So
You're
Which
lucky because I mean you could have gotten the Carpenters one that you got in that pile, and then you could have been a diehard Carpenters fan.
yeah,
that's true.
you
That's true.
you could have been a drummer and
Fate,
anorexic. Uh,
fate.
which guitarist did you gravitate to, Bradley or Jeffrey?
Well, I mean, both, quite honestly. The first guitar I bought was a Kramer that looked just like Brad's Strat, red with a black pick guard.
Hmm.
And these days I play a gold top. So, yeah, both of those guys, just unique, as we all know, unique in the way they approach the guitar, and no better duo ever, I don't think, in rock. So, just because of the styles, I mean, you can tell who's who on those records, on every one of those records.
Hmm. Definitely, definitely, man. So you're there all the way from the beginning. Nadelman here, he didn't catch on till like him and his church group went in like 1986 or some shit. And, um,
I remember taking my first few guitar lessons with a jazz guitarist, and I grew up in upstate New York. And at the end of the lesson, he'd let you bring in a song that he would try to teach you. And so imagine me bringing "Don't Tell Me You Love Me" into this jazz guitarist and saying, "I want to learn this solo," and him looking at me like, "What? You want what?"
yep. Where do I begin?
Right.
Um, so this episode of Fans in Motion, we are going to do something we haven't um, done before, kind of surprisingly, and I guess Nadelman kind of brought this idea to me. Nadelman, what are we doing today?
Well, I actually met up with Dave at the Clearwater show at the Capitol Theater. What was that, Dave? Earlier this year, late last year? It was late
It
last year, wasn't it?
was, yeah, late last year.
And we're talking, and and it's the first time I met him, even though I met him from through the page, and he's like, "Well, you guys should do, I watch the podcast all the time." I'm like, "You do? Well, there's one." He's like, you could do some other stuff, do something with videos, or do something with, and it was a couple other ideas he threw out, but he's like, what about you guys never talk about the videos? They grew up, the Night Ranger was brought in with the MTV generation, so why don't you guys do favorite videos or something like that? So I brought that to Josh, and Josh is like, that's the stupidest fucking idea I've ever heard in my life.
Definitely.
And
Yeah.
but then for some reason it warmed up to him. I don't know why. I don't know what changed. Maybe that weather, he's all curled up in his house there, and he's like, video sounds like a great idea.
Yeah, for those that don't know, I mean, one, the fact that I hate people named Dave, and now I got two of them today on this podcast. Um, I got 13 inches of snow. It's 10 degrees out, and these two fucks are down in Florida, you know, bitching about it got down to 43 tonight. So, but hey, we're going to talk Night Ranger.
It's we have iguanas dropping from the trees. It's dangerous shit here. Don't even say that.
Well, you know shit's getting real down there when iguanas are dropping from the trees and Dave is having problems trying to score his bath salts. So videos, Night Ranger. Kind of like Dave said, Night Ranger was in that height of MTV 84, 85, 86. I tell people they ruled MTV there for a 2 year period. And think of the competition they had: Madonna, Prince, Phil Collins. I mean, just in the whole pop rock world, let alone, how much they dominated, rock and roll, specific in general. But um, the videos that they officially did and released, you got from Dawn Patrol, you got Don't Tell Me You Love Me, Sing Me Away, Midnight Madness. You had Still Rockin' America, Sister Christian, When You Close Your Eyes. Seven Wishes, you had Sentimental Street, Four in the Morning, Goodbye, Big Life. You had Secret of My Success, um, Hearts Away, and The Color of Your Smile. And from Man in Motion, you had I Did It for Love. And then from Neverland, 1997, released, I think, in Japan only. Same with the next video I'll mention is New York Time. And then you had off of seven, you had Sign of the Times. And then you don't get a video all the way up to 2011, somewhere in California. Growing up in California, I don't think there was anything off High Road. And then you had, is it Truth and Running Out of Time off of
Don't let up.
Don't Let Up. And then we
There,
had
there
Break.
was a video for High Road, wasn't there? And
Was there? I don't
I think
think.
there was a video for High Road, and it was it Knock Knock Never Stop.
Yeah. So I forgot about Knock Knock. Let's see here. I'm on a high
Stand out
road.
in front of that barn in High
Yeah,
Road.
you're
Yeah.
right. All right. So I must have fucking been really intoxicated that period. So yes, you're right on the barn. God, I guess you guys know which one's not going to be in my top three. But um, yes, you had High Road and the um, Knock Knock, and um, and then the other ones I just mentioned off of Don't Let Up and ATBPO.
Which you didn't mention the ADPBPO ones. It's Breakout.
Breakout, and Bring It All Home to Me.
Correct.
Right.
Truth?
So
For Truth?
they did
Truth is
Truth,
on Don't Let Up.
Truth, and Running
Don't
Out
let
of
up.
Time. Yeah. Um, so there you go, and just the one off of Somewhere in California, right? They didn't do another one. They do one for Bye Bye Baby. That was the only one I could think of that,
I don't think
but I
so.
don't think
Yeah, I don't
they
think they did.
I think they just did the one. But all right. So we're going to give you like our just three favorites. We want to know, at the end, make a comment, let us know your three favorites. It's interesting to see kind of where everybody will jump in their Night Ranger world with videos and what they mean to them. But Glazer, what's your number three, buddy?
Number three, I'm going to go with Goodbye for number three. Just a one of the more slickly produced videos, I think. By that time, they kind of started spending some money on videos. So Goodbye, uh, kind of little Beatles vibe to it with them sort of in a studio, I think, playing, and then some black and white nostalgia kind of cut into it with Marilyn Monroe and those sorts of things. I thought just a really well produced video and just fun to watch.
That was their last top 40 hit too. So that would have been your kind of like that's the end of really the Night Ranger heyday. That was, I think, really hit the highest in the charts in early '86, the third single from that record. The thing about the Page is one thing I remember is I think his name is Richard Jenkins from the Page, and he identified the boat. He's real big into boats and stuff. And like,
Okay.
that boat at the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
he was able to like, hey, here's this boat and here's pictures from the video and they matched up. And so somewhere there for a while we had the name of what that boat was in the um, goodbye video. Dave, what's your recollections of the goodbye video?
Well, by then, that's when by the time that video came out, that was the video that came out that made me the diehard. Not because of that video, just the timing of that video.
Hmm.
That's when I became the diehard Night Ranger fan that I am today. Um, and it was in MTV used to do their, what was it, the top 10 every day at 5 o'clock or something back then, and that one was always there, and Home Sweet Home by Motley Crue was always there in those two, and that it was for a while. That's what I recall. That I never really gravitated towards the ballads, so of course I would watch it looking for something different, but never happened.
My aunt taped Seven Wishes for me, like on from her record to a cassette tape. And so for years, I that's what I had was that cassette tape. And I don't know, whatever it was, a teenager or something, I got the actual cassette or something. I had the record, but I think by then I was just cassettes. And um, I put in the cassette and I'm listening to Goodbye, and the song ends, and all of a sudden it keeps going and it's loud. I'm like, what the fuck? She had stopped it when the acoustic part ended
Right.
and didn't do that electric outro. So I was like,
Mm-hmm.
holy shit, I got a brand new song here, kind of. Um, and if you go see Night Ranger today, Goodbye is one of the songs that Steve Koken puts the video. If they got the video screen going on in the back, they play snippets of that video while the band performs it on stage. Pretty
And
sure.
it's funny. I think I saw the Seven Wishes tour probably three times, and I don't think they ever played Goodbye live during that
I
tour.
I I
Mm.
don't remember because there were so many songs in that set, but I believe that Seven Wishes, I mean, Goodbye wasn't played on any of that tour.
Yeah.
It wasn't when I saw them. Now, sometimes if you go look up the set list, from '85, you'll see Goodbye as the last song, but they're getting that set list from the VHS because they end with Don't Tell Me You Love Me, and then during the credits,
The credits they play Goodbye,
it
yeah.
plays
Yeah.
Goodbye. So, yeah, I mean, I guess an interesting thing would be um, we know they did Goodbye on Man in Motion because we got live in Japan. I guess you guys would be better at that if they play Goodbye on the Big Life tour.
I'm sure they did. I don't have the set
Mm-hmm.
list handy, but I'm
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm sure they did
Yeah. Um,
because they were still well, they were still headlining
mhm.
some of the tour. I guess maybe no, they were
Mm-hmm.
still headlining the whole tour
On Big
for
Life,
Big
yeah, they
Life.
were for sure.
Yeah, it's just I was just I had to go back and look because they were throwing a lot of Big Life songs on there on that tour, so I can't remember what they left off, um, which they would have to leave off something because I think they were playing
They were playing Big Life. They were
Life,
playing Secret.
Color Your Smile. I thought they played a few times.
Maybe, and they
There
played Rain. I know they played Rain,
a few. I don't know if it was the whole tour, but I know Rain was on there.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
and I remember that vividly because of that they put the smoke
mm.
Yep.
out before the playing of the song.
All right,
I think
so
that's why so many people kind of, when they look at deep cuts for the band, everybody kind of points at rain comes crashing down. I think maybe that's because people saw them play that live during that tour, and it was just a moment, right, Dave? I mean,
Yeah.
uh, it was
It wasn't
cinematic,
yeah, it wasn't like the song itself. It was just
right?
the setting.
The setting, yeah.
I tried to push for it for the symphony, and I mean we got Call My Name, so I guess I'll
We'll take that.
yeah. So Glazer picks Goodbye, Florida Man number one. What's your number three?
So my number three is kind of, I don't want to say it's my number two and three, but it kind of is because it goes along the same motif. It is Sentimental Street. Well, yeah, Sentimental Street is my number three. Um, I believe that it was supposed to be a series, I guess, of them disappearing in a bomber,
Mhm.
and they made the video around that, which was kind of not the first time they did like a concept video, but um, they started it with the newscast, and I don't remember if they started the newscast with Four in the Morning or Sentimental Street. Um, how the reporter comes up and rock band Night Ranger while filming something
Hmm.
something something disappeared in the thing, and then they wash up on the beach. I want to say that's the Four in the Morning one.
Well, for Sentimental Street, it starts out with the newscaster, and one thing if I remember correctly, like she mentions, they it was like a promotional flight, right, to do photos or
Right,
something.
right.
And they mentioned like the pilot missing, but we never see the pilot. It's just the five dudes from the band. So I don't know if they ate his ass or what, but yeah. So Sentimental Street is the newscast, and Kelly holding up the lamp, and Jack with the 5 o'clock shadow and stuff like that. So
And it was great to see that on the photo recreated.
um, yeah. I mean, for those, Now, one thing I didn't, when we talked on the previous episode of the Indiana show, the Indiana shows,
Mhm.
um, one thing they did differently because they had the video, I think, is they show a montage video that they showed in Japan. They showed it before the Wabash, Indiana show, and the recreated Seven Wishes photo is in that I took. Um, for those that don't know, when we were in Jackson, Michigan this last summer, um, there was a was it V-29 that is, and uh, and Jack got one of his military guys to get them all identical clothes that matched what they wore at Seven Wishes. So we're up in this top floor building, there on the flight line, and it was just crazy watching them put on the stuff. And I'll have to dig out the photos, but it was crazy seeing Kelly. Kelly's the first one, and he just looks like he did in Seven Wishes. And um, Brad's the last one there, and to get in there and get going. And Brad's like, "What's kind of funny is I was the last one when we were doing this originally. That's why I got stuck with the shit I had to wear." But yeah, they had that whole bomber motif, which, the only thing is, if you get like a great some of like the Millennium collections, or if you watch something like where they play music on TV and they just show pictures, that's the picture that represents Night Ranger is them
Yes.
dressed up as World War II bombardiers.
Mhm.
But yeah, so Sentimental Street would have been the first video off of Seven Wishes. Starts out with that newscast. It shows them at the little rock club and loading their gear and getting in arguments and all that stuff. Dave Glazer, what's your memories of Sentimental Street?
Uh, I remember watching that video many, many times and thinking, man, I wish I was in that little club watching these guys play. Could you imagine? Maybe Josh, maybe you've seen them
Pro-
during the three-piece days,
Well,
but
yeah, those were club days. The closest thing really was this last summer when they played Count Vamped there in Vegas, a little rock club. But yeah, I had to be probably, I mean, I'm sure all of us when we were younger watching this and like, God, I wish I was there, or, like,
Yep.
and um, you know, I I would have been 8 when that came out, or just turning 8. Um, I remember the video again. I never taped them, so and as a kid, I would watch MTV, but I'm obviously doing tons of other stuff. I got fucking, mud to play in and rocks and shit. So, I remember seeing it, um, but nothing really stuck out with me, memory wise. I think some of the other videos I remember more. I remember coming home from second grade and seeing When You Close Your Eyes, and stuff like that. But Sentimental Street, Dave Nadelman. My number three, I'm actually going up to, more recent times. And when I mean recent times, 15 years ago, my video is going to be growing up in California. Um, so, I always call the years like 99 to 2000 through 2008, kind of like the lost years. There was no studio records. There was one towards the end, Hole in the Sun, but not maybe the best Night Ranger record. Uh, they didn't tour a lot around here, and if they did, if it was half the time you didn't know about it. Um, and if it was like a rib fest or something, 5 hours away. Um, I did get one good show. I remember down there was Wabash, Indiana, 2004, and a show down at the Wild Horse in Nashville in 2007. But like I said, during that lost year period, that lost time, I just always call it the lost year. It's just no big sense of direction. But then it kind of changed. 2009, Night Ranger gets on that Journey tour and is playing arenas. And then the next year, they're on that Styx and that REO
Or
Speedwagon
Speedwagon.
tour. And then it just, all that morphs into 2011 and somewhere in California. So by that point, like I said, I didn't really gravitate that much to Hole in the Sun. I loved Neverland. I really enjoyed Seven. By this point, 2011, you're looking at 13, 14 years since those albums were released. At that time, I was overseas, military. I was in Liberia, and I did have a little bit of internet access that our comms people had put up. And I remember downloading off of iTunes. I forget, it took, I don't know, a couple hours to download, somewhere in California. And, I just remember hearing that opening part, and I'm just like, holy shit, this is actually good. And then I was able to, I think it was as they released the video. I don't know if it was at the same time or not, but I was over there, and I like waited till like the middle of the night, or I woke up super fucking early, like 4 a.m., because we didn't have that much internet. And, you really couldn't watch any videos, anything like that. I probably shouldn't even download that song, but I got up when I knew no one would really be up so I could watch the video of growing up in California. And, you know, the guys looked good, played good. It was kind of like your first video representation of Joel. And it was definitely the first time any of us had really seen Levy. And, um, Levy has that rock fits kind of thing going, and Joel, had his, Joel, it took Joel a little bit to morph into that rock star look, and by then he had got it, and um, yeah, just I was like, holy shit! It's like it'd been a while. I don't want to say it's been a while since I've been proud, but it's like okay, this is something I can play to my friends, or whatever. But so yeah, growing up in California um, is my number three. Nadelman, What was your memories of growing up in California?
Well, let alone the album. I mean, when that album came out alone, it sparked the interest again of me getting heavily involved in the band with the band again and listening to the band. Um, I don't remember where I was when I first saw the video because I really didn't even know there was an album out to watch a video for. And MTV and all that were leaning towards other genres of music. So I think I may have seen it on YouTube, but later, maybe
Hmm.
2012, 2013,
Where the fuck were
before
you?
before I even realized there was an album out. You know what I mean?
All right, this is horrible. Glazer, what you got? What do you remember?
Well, like you, Josh, I remember, it was kind of like our introduction to Joel and Eric, and just hearing Eric's keyboard riff was kind of like, okay, this is Fitz, man. This is what I remember from Fitz, that kind of riff, and then Brad waxing the surfboard and Levy kind of looking off into space doing the same thing was this kind of
Mhm.
odd thing, but it was sort of like after Hole in the Sun, Night Ranger's back. It just felt like that listening to that song, watching that video.
I concur. I concur. Well, keep following your thoughts there, Glazer, and give us your number two.
All right, number two is the original. Don't Tell Me You Love Me. That's my number two favorite video. Probably just for nostalgia reasons, like Dave said, it was one of the very first videos ever on MTV. And if you were watching MTV when it first hit the airwaves, you turned it on and Don't Tell Me You Love Me was there. You saw that video many, many times. And I think everybody's probably heard kind of the guerrilla video story now that Jack's told about making that video. And was it a friend of his that was a film student at USC or something, and they grabbed the equipment and just went and did it. Yeah, just we'd heard the Dawn Patrol album, and then here now we got to see what these guys look like for the first time, um, and just the train scene in black and white and slow mo, and yeah, just a great video and
Mhm.
guerrilla style video that cost them probably next to nothing to create, but just was an amazing video
They couldn't edit out with the leaf flying in his mouth, probably.
in
So
Kelly's mouth, right? Yeah.
Um, what's crazy is, you know, if you're probably not over the age of 30, you don't realize how life was a little bit different back in the day. Again, I was 5 when that video came out. I don't remember that video, coming out, obviously. But I remember, you know, talking to my aunt, as a 7, 8 year old, and her telling me that there's a video out there for Don't Tell Me You Love Me. And all she could remember was there was a train. So, my whole life up to that point, 8, 9, I'm 13 in 1990. Even up to that point, I'd never seen Don't Tell Me You Love Me. I knew it existed. Um, and now you can just go to YouTube, type in some buttons, and there it is. I remember I eventually, trading bootlegs and stuff in the mid 90s, I eventually got a VHS tape that had all their videos. Again, this is prior to everybody having internet and stuff like that. Um, but I remember having, I don't know, mid 90s, maybe MTV2 or something. And when you close your, or You Can Still Rock America came on. I'd never seen that video. And, here I am, 18, 19 years old, seeing, You Can Still Rock in America for the first time. And now you can just go and watch these,
Right,
videos. But
right.
I think the first time I ever watched it was when I got that VHS tape, probably 96. And I know it was the first time I'd probably seen Don't Tell Me You Love Me, Sing Me Away, and Color Your Smile. Now, I had seen Hearts Away, I had seen Secret. It was the first time I ever seen I Did It for Love. Um, but yeah, you had to work for stuff, and if you hadn't seen it, really MTV wasn't going to play "Don't Tell Me You Love Me" in 1985,
Right.
1986. You were screwed. Um,
Unless,
so
unless Brad and Jack or were doing like a co-host on MTV, you know, how they used to bring artists on. There was like, well, here's our video from. That's the only time you would see it
yeah.
if
But,
whenever they were
but
on.
usually if they were doing that, they were playing their newest hit.
Yeah,
Hey, here is whatever we're pushing um, right
It's
now.
funny too because obviously they made a video for "Sing Me Away," but I don't remember "Sing Me Away" ever being on MTV. I don't remember ever seeing that on MTV
I,
at
I
the
don't
time.
I
I
don't
mean, they
recall it
played
either.
"Don't Tell Me You Love Me" a lot, but I don't
Mm,
remember seeing the video for "Sing Me Away" until years later. I don't remember
yeah,
that being in
yeah.
rotation on MTV.
I mean, I know that it was, but I, probably, I mean, it wasn't that big of a hit, so it probably didn't last that long. Was "Don't Tell Me You Love Me" or was it "Sing Me Away" that had the dinosaurs? You know, I'm talking about the dinosaurs at the, the big at the gas station there. Someone on the page from Japan when he came over went there. Anyways, I was driving in California. First, I've been everywhere around the world, never been to California until a couple years ago when they were playing at the Stratosphere. After those shows, were done, the next day I rented a car and I went to California for a couple days. And I'm just driving along, the main route from Vegas to LA, or I might have been off a little bit, just I was going to Joshua Tree, but anyway, it's still the main route. And I look out my window and there's those fucking dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's the dinosaurs from the video. So it's either "Sing Me Away" or "Don't Tell Me You Love Me." Probably "Sing Me Away." Um, so Nadelman,
And the thing about "Don't Tell Me You Love Me" is, I mean, look at the quality. Obviously, there was no money going into videos at that point because nobody knew what videos were. So, I mean, this is where you're going to get your early raw what videos were like before there was a budget put into place for videos. You know what I mean? And it was nothing. Oh, a train? Okay. What would
Right.
they do now? You know, the a video like that would never be created now if they're still creating videos.
mm,
Um, but yeah, just the rawness of it was
Right.
was great. Just the birth of the video generation.
what's
And no
crazy?
Bubba, no Bubba in that video either for
How is that?
Brad.
Is that the blue one?
I think he's playing a black Strat
Yeah,
or
it's the
something,
black.
but
Either his black Strat, or I know at that time he had that. I think it looks like an Explorer. Um, but there's a blue one he had, like blue, it was like a blue sunburst, where the edges were black, and then
mhm.
this, it was like a blue coming in. I know there's photos of it maybe on a 45 or something from Japan, but um, what was I going to say about that video? Oh, yeah, that video, right, is closer to the end of World War II than it is to present day,
You do that a
right?
lot, Josh. You
Yeah,
do
it
that a lot.
Or
makes
it
us
might
feel
it
really
might
good.
might might be about
Yeah,
the same. I'd have to do the math in my head. 82. Yeah, so yeah,
makes
it
me
would
feel
be
really
yeah.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Well, I wonder how they feel. Uh so Nadelman, what's your number two?
So my number two goes along the same motif as my number three, uh, Sentimental Street. I'm sorry, 4 in the morning.
Jeez, man, need some
It's a good
professionals
thing I'm.
there.
It's a good thing I'm getting replaced on here.
Oh, 4 in the morning. All right. So what do you remember about 4 in the morning there, Turbo?
It was the first video that told me that there was a new album out. Um, and it's the first time. Oh, they had stories that generate video for Midnight Madness, just the certain stories, but this was also that continuation of that story. And you would think that that story of the bomber and them missing. I mean, how cool would it be if they were Def Leppard and got to release 7 singles from that album and they were all based on that motif, like in a story? That would have been so cool. But I don't think anybody other than Def Leppard can release 7 uh, hits from an album and get a video made out of it.
So Four in the Morning would have been the second single from
Seven
Night,
Wishes.
yep, the Seven Wishes album. Nadelman or Glazer, what do you remember from that
I
video?
remember that they got a chance to show off their acting skills for the first time. There's a lot of acting in that video for those guys. I remember that I actually wrote this down. Uh, the Bumblebee outfit shows up for the first time, I think, in that video. Brad's wearing the Bumblebee. Um, the Space Vixens. I wrote that down as a note too.
Hmm.
And Jeff's. I thought Jeff's guitar solo, the way they did that was really cool. They had Jeff on stage tosses his guitar to Jeff in World War II garb, and he plays, and then tosses it back to himself. Thought that was very cool.
Yeah, so like the video, I think the World War II guys go into the club and the glam Night Ranger guys um, are on stage. This was the first video where you really saw that Seven Wishes outfits going, Jack doesn't quite have the turquoise. It's turquoise, but it isn't the one we kind of know from the Seven Wishes video. At least I don't think it is, the live video. And uh, Kelly doesn't quite have that PJ thing going. Close, but this one's like a little bit different. But um, yeah. So the second single, Dave, do you remember that video? Nadelman?
Well, since I brought it up, yeah.
Oh wait, no, I thought Glazer was the one who brought that up. Well, Glazer had a better story for it.
Yeah.
So what I remember as a 8-year-old, this was the one I probably remember seeing the most. Was I remember where the girl, the space girl, clicks her fingers, and then the guys just follow her, like that. And, being 8 years old and discovering girls, I'm like, I kind of know what the fuck they're going through right there. That speaks to me. Um, and Also, if you remember when they did the guest VJ on MTV, where like at the end, they rub the lamp, and I think Jack and Kelly disappear, and Jeff's like, "You forgot your coat," and he kind of disappears, and Brad and Fitz kind of look at each other like, "All right, I guess we're joining them," and they get in line and they do the head shake thing like they do at the end of that video and walk, and disappear. So they did tie that into their guest VJ um, thing. Top 20 hit. Any other memories of Four in the Morning?
I think
Yay.
that's the first time we maybe saw Jeff with the flying V. As a guitar guy, I look at these things, but Jeff
Yeah.
playing the white flying V in that video,
Well, I does he do it in when you close your eyes? Because I remember he does that weird position where
that
he,
could be
he puts his arm like through the V
in
and his
between the V.
yeah, and
Yeah.
I'm like,
Mhm.
even as a 7-year-old kid, I'm like, yeah, I don't look like that's really how you would play that comfortably. But um What I also, I don't think I noticed it then, and I don't think I noticed it. Probably someone pointed it out. Is in these videos, and one of them might be this video behind us. Um, Jeff and Brad wear the same shirt in like Jeff wears it in one shirt, like "Don't Tell Me You Love Me." It's just like a white, maybe like tank top with blue lines, kind of. And then it shows back up. Brad's wearing it in one of the Seven Wishes videos. So if anybody out there wants to do the homework, it does exist. I remember someone pointing that out and showing. Um, my number two is going to be Sister Christian. So Sister Christian, which is pretty much where, that's what put Night Ranger on the map, 1984. Um, as a kid, obviously I got to watch that. I saw that one probably more than most just because it was played more than most. Um, it would, my kid, if anybody is friends with me on Facebook, it starts out with a clock ticking. So, my kid would be pissed at me if I didn't, pick this one. Because my kid loves clocks. Uh, but yeah, I mean, it just to me, one, it just, sums up Night Ranger visually, right? Them and, uh, my memory of it is actually a little bit later. Again, I saw it, as a 7-year-old kid, whatever, but I didn't tape it. Um, by 1994, I hadn't seen it in 10 years, whatever, how old I am in 1994, 16, 17. And, have not, seeing it one when you're a kid at 7 years old and not seeing it for 10 years, you don't really remember, what did I see back then? And then MTV was doing in 1994, they were playing a day where they were just playing all songs from 1984. So I don't know if it was a weekend. I just remember sitting in front of that goddamn TV all fucking day and trying not to miss anything. And it's getting late at night, and I'm like, they're not going to play this motherfucker, are they? And then right around 10 o'clock, they played it, and I taped it. And
Josh having to go piss and he's holding it in,
yeah,
can't
yeah,
leave all day.
commercials. And I taped it, and it was just like the greatest thing ever. One, besides that VHS tape, back then, what am I watching of Night Range? I don't have anything. I don't have any of the videos taped, and you don't have YouTube, and that was the greatest thing ever. And I got to tape it. I got this on tape. So that, just one, just that memory alone. But yeah, I mean, it's whenever you think of Night Ranger, you kind of, I mean, yeah, we joke about seven wishes in the outfits, but that image of them there, just guys, and most of us, not me, but most of your stories, you guys are in high school, and that takes place in the high school, and it's got girls and cars and all that good stuff. Blazer, do you remember Sister Christian hitting the airwaves?
I do remember it. With the nuns selling cocaine, or is that what
Oh
it was?
well,
That was what it was about.
they were selling crack.
Crack.
They had crystallized it.
Okay. Yeah.
But just generally because of
The
the
cost.
well,
Yeah.
where they were
Kept the
at,
cost down.
um, where the churches were at in the city, it was just you had to you weren't in a place with a lot of money, so crystallize it, make more,
Yeah.
sell
Makes
more,
sense. Makes
not to
total
sell it.
sense.
Yeah, so
So I remember
uh,
that. I remember them looking like the oldest high schoolers ever, but that was okay.
even
And
older than the ones in Greece.
well, probably around the same. And I remember the very end of the guitar solo with Brad and Jack standing next to each other and that harmonic playing, the two of them just kind of sinking down.
Mm,
I don't know why I remember that, but I do remember that.
yeah. Remember,
And it was another one of those things where you couldn't turn on MTV and not see that video, just
I
then
mean, the first thing you
over
think
and
about
over
now
and
when you
over
think about that song is you just, see them running out of
into the car.
into the car. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
running out of the school. I mean, that just image is there, and Brad and Jeff playing side by side, like you said, that's an image. Or I'm sorry, it was a, like an image of Jack and Brad,
Jack and
mm,
Brad, yeah.
and
you
that's
know,
what you always think of. Like you could see that just as an image, and it's that video.
And the same girl from When You Close Your Eyes, right?
well,
Same girl in that video.
well, yes, she eventually did the next video. Um, when you close your eyes. So yeah, she was in those two videos. The unique thing about that video is, Jeff is playing the synthesizer on that. Um, I always kind of wondered, like, uh, your biggest visual hit, your biggest hit, and you're not, playing guitar or even holding guitar in a video. Like, if, um, if you had known, that was going to be the hit, what? would you have fought for the solo? I mean, uh, so yeah, so Sister Christian is my number two. Nadelman. All right. You need a strong finish, buddy. Um, or no, you know what? Let's go Nadelman. I've been going Glazer, but we'll let Glazer have the final say here. Nadelman, what's your number one?
So my number one is what you just touched on, and it's kind of the continuation, not continuation to uh, Sister Christian, but it's kind of the next level of images is when you close your eyes. Obviously, if you know me, you know that's my favorite Night Ranger song. It also might even be my favorite song of all time. Um, just the story of it about regrets and looking back and, thinking of, you're in an unhappy part of your life and you're looking back to a time when you were happier. And that shows off a lot in the video where he sees the girl in a mirror in the bar. I'll never forget that image. And he makes a quick turn and she's not there. And when Jack is looking at that, and just the number one video because it's my number one song.
One thing, and I didn't notice, this isn't me, someone on the page, or maybe it was Brent. I can't remember. Someone was talking that there's an edit in that video that I don't fucking know what it was now. Like, um, yeah, there's like two versions of it. And I don't know if like the monkey was in there a little bit longer or not as long, but I'm pretty sure there's an edit with the video and there's differences on the first line audio wise. Again, I can't tell you, exactly, but it's the what do you do and then you fall apart and you just, there you go. Fell in love with the gleam in her eye. I think it's that part. Um, if again, this is years ago, someone broke it down really well on the page. But I think the version that's on Midnight Madness is different than the one on the Greatest Hits in that part. So don't quote me on it. But yeah, so it's like I think if you have Midnight Madness, the cassette version might that has that little difference than the album. And like maybe they put the cassette version on the Greatest Hits and it's different from the record. Someone's got to remember that shit. Someone actually broke it down and had side by sides and all that stuff. But yeah, if someone remembers the video and there being an alteration in it, let us know and
And then another image,
post it.
you got to see Kelly out singing, like outside of behind the drum set. Learned about love in the back of our Chevrolet. He's sitting up there, well, in front of the
Mhm.
Chevrolet and
Well,
singing.
what just remember visually is one, the monkey. Can't go wrong with having a monkey in a video. Now you can go wrong with having monkey as your lyrics, but a monkey in the video is always cool. And the other
Monkey
thing,
in trousers would be even cooler.
yeah, that would be awesome. Uh, and then the Kelly leaning on the back of the convertible,
Yeah,
singing. That's kind of a cool little
that's
iconic.
kind of what I was,
Yeah.
yeah, referring to.
That and then what I remember one time is watching the video with my aunt who was a teenager, and her and her friend loved it when Jack was at the very end. He's driving down the street and she looks out and sees him driving by,
Driving past, yeah.
and he's sitting there twirling his hair. Like they loved that. But that's kind of my memories from from that. Glazer, what do you remember from it?
And that was the third release off video release, right? That was
Yes. Yep.
after Rockin' America and Sister Christian. I think that, yeah, I remember the monkey, obviously. And I think the scene where she's in the kitchen with the kids and the monkey's at the table and the monkey's her husband, I guess, supposed to be her
Hmm.
husband. And yeah, it's a great video. I mean, just a really great video and a great song, Dave. Not
Hmm.
my favorite, but a great song.
Everybody's
Yeah.
entitled to their own opinions.
Yeah, of
I
course.
very rarely will agree with Dave, but anybody that's watched the podcast knows I've always, said that is probably the quintessential Night Ranger song. And it did win the March Madness of all the Night Ranger songs they did
That's
Twice.
right.
years ago. My number one is one of their more recent videos from ATBPO, Break Out. Um, I guess it's just, personal to me is, I'm living the fat kid Make-A-Wish dream to where when that came out in August of 21, that's when the album was released. They started releasing the videos at the end of May. And it was earlier in that month when I started, I'd already been doing the social media for Kelly, and Night Ranger kind of drafted me in. And so, personal reasons. But what I remember from that period is, I don't know, well, it had to be April Fool's, because I had done the Eric Levy Fires, um, Jack Blades, newscast thing.
Right, right.
And I was texting Kelly, and he was telling me, 'cause at this point I was only friends with Kelly and Eric, and he was telling me how the guys loved it and everything. And texting Kelly, he had told me that they were there filming um, the video for Breakout, and that he had sent me the record pretty early on, so I had the record. And so I knew the song, and I was like, oh, they're filming, that video. So I just remember, that. But then, personal, nostalgia or whatever, sentimental reasons. The video's cool. Um, cool scenery. They look good. The song's great. You got Brad and Carrie and the guitars and Eric and, um, if that is the final video we ever get, I think it's a good one to, I mean, kind of, you got Don't Tell Me You Love Me on one end of the bookcase and Breakout at the
Well,
other.
that wasn't the final video though.
Well, they were filmed the same day. Wasn't the final one released, but you know,
It's kind of
it's
the ends of your sandwich. Is that what it is?
it's what it
Hmm.
is, brother. It's what it is. So, what was your Glazer? What do you remember about Breakout hitting the
Hmm.
airwaves?
Yeah. In the junkyard, right? Or in the, yeah.
Yeah, whatever that is out in Vegas, or not in Vegas. I don't think it's Vegas. Out in California. Someone I know people know where it's at because people like, oh, that's whatever, and it's a
Right.
known area. But
Right.
yeah, it's out in like a junkyard kind of looking thingamajig.
Yeah. Again, great video. Is that the one where they're all in the door? Their faces are all in the doorway? Or was that
No, that's
the
the other
second
one.
one from
That's the second
18?
one.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, just
Yeah, there's a
great setting for the video for sure.
there's a clip that it's there, and we never released it. I don't know if I ever posted on the page of it's like an extended intro to Breakout where it's um like they're getting on the bus and stuff like that. I'll have to see if I still got it, but that footage is out there. All right, Glazer, guest of honor. What is your number one?
All right, number one video, not number one song by any stretch, but number one video to me that they did was "Secret of My Success," for a lot of reasons. Like cinematically, I think it was really slick. Basically, like a one continuous shot through the entire video, no cuts. Um, and for the time, we're talking about what, late 80s now, 88,
87.
89,
A7?
87. The guys, fading in and out as the camera moves around to different
Mm.
spots. Really slick, really, really fun to watch. And then, of course, the horn section that's in there, which I'm sure you guys have talked about it before, is Vince Neil and Tommy Lee and Weird Al. Just a really cool video. Yeah, and just really well produced.
Yeah,
Special effects for the
yeah.
time.
So and that's, when people talk about, well, MCA, ruined Night Ranger, and there's reasons you can go back and forth, but um, you can't fault them for everything because, I mean, they got Night Ranger in a Michael J. Fox movie, in 1987. That's almost as big as you can get.
Right.
Now I know the guys, just knowing them for the last 5 years, somewhere in there, I know there was an issue with it was supposed to be used more, and they ended up using
Katrina
Katrina
and the
and the
Waves.
waves a
Mhm.
lot in like maybe the promos and stuff, and that was a source of contention. But if you watch the movie, um, you could it's a little bit
It's
different
different.
than what's on the radio on the CD, or on the record. Nothing major. It's just like the instrumental loops are a little bit longer and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But um, decent movie. It has Supergirl in it.
Helen Slater.
Helen
Yeah,
Slater. Yeah.
yeah. So you can't beat that. And um, God, I think his uncle and aunt, they're both passed. He passed, I know, in like the early 90s, but the woman that his aunt that seduces him, she just passed away a few years ago. So um secret of my success. The Now for those that watch the podcast, they know that probably that's not my favorite song, but one thing here recently, with Night Ranger playing the gigs with the video background and Steve having some stuff going on with it, whenever I want to get videos are mainly photos from front of the house, I usually do it during um, Secret because they got a lot of this backdrop stuff really going on, the lights and um, a lot of songs they use like a lot of darker like reds and stuff where Secret, now when they play it, it's a little bit brighter, yellows and greens and stuff like that. So the stage looks a little bit fuller. So that's kind of why I use those. But yeah, secret of my success, like, again, I'm 10 years old, so I'm watching MTV a little bit more. I remember that coming out. I got Big Life and Motley Crue Girls, Girls, Girls for my 10th birthday, brand new cassettes. Yeah, what do you remember, Dave Nadelman?
So I remember that I was thrilled to find out that the title of the movie, a new Michael J. Fox movie, is the title of, a Night Ranger song, which means it had to be in there. And I remember going to see that movie just on opening day. It was probably opening day just because I wanted to hear my band in a song, or in a
Hmm.
movie score. And they play it early in the movie. They played in the opening credits.
Hmm.
And you're expecting it more later, or you're expecting it at the end. I somehow see how the Katrina and the Waves took over that movie, especially in the halfway part through the movie. But since Big Life was the first Night Ranger album that I bought on day one in the store after I became that monster fan during the Seven Wishes years, but I don't think I saw the video until I saw the movie, just because. And once again, the video is great. The video is it's just colorful. It's a colorful video, like Dave said, with the transitioning in and out. And then I don't know if I knew right away about Vince Neil, Tommy Lee, and Weird Al. Maybe I did, but it could be. I don't see how I couldn't, because I
And
would
they
look at that. That would be something different.
they called themselves something too. Like I can't remember what it was. And I don't
Hmm.
remember how I remembered it or where I read it, but like they called themselves, those three. They had a name for their little their little group and stuff. But um, the and that was really, I mean, it didn't last on the MTV long. It got a push. You saw it, but that was your last hurrah for Night Ranger. Uh,
And was that video background I mean, that is that the same as the album?
it's similar, but it doesn't have the
Yeah,
same stuff.
Yeah, maybe
Uh,
coloring wise, it is
you
maybe.
can
maybe that's what
you
it
can
was.
see a lot of that background in the Big Life tour book because they took a lot of still photos. Like, you know how like they have that wall behind there and there's like spray paint. You know,
Yeah,
in a tour book you can see Jack standing by some of the spray paint that says Jack plus Molly. Um, and I mean, to me, I mean, I even when I was 10, you know, like I said, I got Motley Crue and I got Big Life, and I mean, the writing on the wall was there. You know, you had Motley Crue, you had Guns N' Roses ready to hit, you had, you know, White Snake, you had Aerosmith, you know, Permanent Vacation hitting, and then Night Ranger comes and they're colorful and you got Fitz playing a guitar. You know what I mean? Like it's just like, hey, this isn't, you know, even at 10 years old, I'm like, well, this isn't Motley Crue, you know, Wild Side or Girls, Girls, Girls. Um, which I don't think Wild Side was out yet. You know, I think it was just Girls, Girls, Girls because when I got the cassette, you know, I'm like, oh, this fucking song rocks. And that was kind of like one of the first times I remember liking a song before it became a single, you know, at 10 years old. So, anyways, uh, yeah, you know, so, you know, I just wish, you know, if you travel back in time, hey, you know, what are you going to do? Stop the Kennedy assassination? Go back see dinosaurs? No, I'm going to go back to 1987 and talk to man. Like, we got to get Fitz behind the keyboards, you know. Um, I don't give a fuck if we put him in scrubs, you know, but we can't have that hat and we can't have the keytar. Um, but
and was he wearing a funky sweater too?
I
He's
don't
wearing
know
like
about
a sweater from the Gap or something.
I don't know about that. I just remember he had that big ass Night Ranger hat and just the keytar. It's like can't do it, bud. Um, you know. Anyways, so there you go. Uh, how awesome is it that none of our picks, you know, overran each other? So Old Nadelman, number three was Sentimental Street, 4 in the morning, with number one being When You Close Your Eyes. I had Growing Up in California, Sister Christian and Breakout, and the guest of honor, Glazer, had Goodbye, Don't Tell Me You Love Me, and Secret of My Success. Um, you know, talking about Night Ranger in the end of the classic era, obviously you know, Hearts Away was the last video I remember seeing on MTV. I was over at my grandparents, um, and they would do like the preview, you know, the videos coming up, and heard, you know, that they were doing Hearts Away, so I had to wait like 30 minutes, you know, probably with my mom yelling at me, "We gotta go," and I saw Hearts Away. Only time I ever saw it. And probably about only a few times it ever aired. You know, it wasn't on long. I'm sure they played Color Your Smile once or twice, but
Mhm.
you know, I
They
don't.
did.
Did you remember seeing Color Your Smile, Dave? On
I do, and I
okay,
remember seeing Hearts. So I also remember seeing I Did It for Love.
okay,
Not a lot, but I do
yeah.
remember seeing it.
Well, I don't know if it's YouTube, but you know, someone's got it on YouTube or something, and it's the world premiere. Um, and of course, that was the only video they did for Man in Motion, and
With
for
Morgan Fairchild.
yeah. I talked to Brad just recently about that. But uh, you know, that whole campaign, you know, advertising campaign, guitars are back. And then the first part of the video is
Is
Jeff
it?
Watson on a mountain playing a fucking keyboard.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, I mean, what a time, you know, videos and it's just crazy. And people talk about video, they think it was only the 80s. You know, obviously I graduated in 95, but there's a lot of songs that even in the 90s and early 2000s, if I think of, I remember the video. So, you know, I think we all think MTV stopped playing videos in, you know, the 80s, and I know videos got played less, but
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's like if you know, I obviously can't spit one out right now, but you know, if I think of I can't think of one, Shakira, whatever that one fucking song was, 2002, or Michelle Branch, remember where she's playing the piano and
Yeah.
you know, I mean, those are early 2000s, and you still have that, you know, thing. And
Matchbox 20, a lot of Matchbox 20
yeah, so there you
videos you
go.
remember
And
from their
yeah,
videos.
Mm-hmm.
um, uh, and I got a not Rolling Stone, yeah, Rolling Stone from I don't know, I think it was 87 or 88. It might have even been 86. I want to say it was probably 86. And in that Rolling Stone, if it wasn't Rolling Stone, it might have been Billboard. And they're talking about the ratings for MTV being on a 2-year decrease. So, we think about it being, but even from 85 to 86, there was, I'll have to find it. I mean, I'm sure it's out there. Someone can find it. But yeah, there was an article talking about how the viewership was decreasing on MTV at the time period that we thought it was, you know. And here's the thing, if videos were going to get eyeballs, they would play them. I just think for the last 20 years, they just didn't. And,
Yeah.
if it's one, it's probably, you know, cheaper to play, fucking Step Brothers for the 18th time than air videos. I don't know. All
And
right.
I wonder how the MTV videos ultimately kind of impacted Night Ranger's career. I mean, would did they lengthen their career? Would we have had Seven Wishes and Big Life if there were no MTV videos, if people had seen them? I wonder.
Well, I mean, I think MTV really killed some careers. I mean,
Mhm.
I think, Joe Jackson was a huge, player, and then people saw his ugly ass mug and Christopher Cross, you know what I mean? Like, oh shit, like, I just remember my stepdad one time, listen to all these songs in the 70s and stuff and the 2000s when you got the internet and you could like look up these bands. He's like, I'm glad couldn't see half these groups, like, how goofy they were. So I think it helps, Night Ranger that, they're, they didn't look like, you know, uh, some fucking,
Slade,
yeah, Slade or Crocus or some of these weird ass,
Crocus.
guys. Now, on top of that, I mean, I guess somehow Scorpion survived it. They're a bunch of weird looking dudes, um, but, uh, I think visually, I mean, it helped Night Ranger that the girls thought they were heartthrobs and shit like that. So, uh, yeah, I'd say, just again, that perfect slice of history, right? The music you're into and performing is the music that's, hitting the airwaves
Yeah,
and
you never know what would Night Ranger's career if they started out not in that chunk of time of where MTV was
Mhm.
bringing out everything. Could it, you could ask that about anything, but
Well, think about some of these bands, 91, 92, that got in right when grunge was hitting. And what if they were 3 years earlier, 4 years earlier? And I'm thinking of bands like Baton Rouge and Tangier and, some of the Roxy Blue and all that shit, right? Taiketo. Some of these bands were, you know, what would have happened if they were a little bit earlier? I mean, I always say like bands like Mr. Big, Firehouse,
Firehouse. Mhm.
lucky as fuck. They were the last ones through the door.
Mhm.
Um, even Damn Yankees, you wait one more year for Damn Yankees, you're going to have a little bit of a hit with high enough, but you're not going to be able to get that whole nother year of, touring in 92. Like I said, with Damn Yankees, you had all of 90 and 91 to push that record. And as like I said, when 90 middle September of 92 hit, like I said, I was in high school and I saw it almost overnight, man. Just girls with hairspray in their hair and shit. And next thing you know, it's fucking, no hairspray and everybody's wearing flannel and I mean, if I've used this analogy before, you want to see what people thought of 80s rock, watch Billy Madison, which was filmed in 94, released February 95. Watch Billy Madison. He has his birthday party. He loves that, rock, but it's a caricature. It's just them on stage, and it's them being, it's goofy. And remember, he pulls up in front of school in his Trans Am with the Starry Speedwagon shirt and Billy Squire, and everybody's making fun of him. That's exactly how it was
Mhm.
um, in the early '90s, mid '90s. So. But yeah, I mean, I'm lucky that I got to experience even what I did, being so young. At least I was, my aunt and stuff, them being teenagers, I got to experience the MTV and um, my grandma taking me to Seven Wishes to where, you guys being teenagers, that was the
That was
best,
the
man.
prime.
For
You
sure.
know?
Yeah, for sure.
So, all right. Well, Glazer, thank you for joining us. Everybody out there watching, listening, click like, click subscribe, go to the Fans in Motion Facebook page. That's where everything happens. You can go there and find Dave Glazer, add him as a friend. He's always posting shirtless pics for all the ladies out there. If you're down in Florida and you need some bath salts, alligator wrestling, go see Nadelman. Um, yeah, if you want to watch clock videos, find me. All right, Glazer, thank you for joining us.
Yeah,
What do you
buddy.
think, buddy?
Definitely.
What
Thanks,
do you
guys.
think?
My pleasure. Loved it. Loved it. And I love the podcast half from the beginning. So it's been a
Uh,
real honor to be on with you guys. Thanks.